This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time to stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to the Special Chronicles Podcast. My name is Daniel Smrokowski. I'm the founder and host of Special Chronicles and a Southern Travel Global Messenger alum with Special Olympics. Our website, specialchronicles.com. We can stream our archives of over 750 episodes absolutely for free, and follow Special Chronicles on social media, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, specialchronicles.com. This week, we are rebroadcasting an episode on here on the Special Chronicles Podcast because it is summer and we need some break, and we had some guests that we kind of had to restructure this month, and so that's why we are rebroadcasting. But it's perfect timing because this week on a rebroadcast episode of the Special Chronicles Podcast, join myself, award-winning podcast host Daniel Smrokowski, for a special podcast recorded on location from the Disability Pride Parade in Chicago. Tune in as we recap the event with the Disability Services Office at Roosevelt University, and an interview with the Executive Director of ADA25Chicago. And we bring you on stage to hear firsthand from Senator Tom Harkin of Iowa, who was there during the signing of the ADA. The following episode has been previously broadcasted.
This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
My name is Emily Harris. I am Executive Director of ADA25Chicago, which is located at the Chicago Community Trust. And I live and work in Chicago, and I am here with Daniel. And I listen to Special Chronicles with Daniel.
This episode 151 is brought to you by listeners like you. And also this live episode is brought to you by Pace and Bus. Visit pacebus.com. That's pacebus.com for more information. And caught up in this week's show, we're podcasting live at the 2015 Disability Pride Parade in Chicago, the part of ADA25 Chicago. And with the Academic Assistant of Disability Services, Executive Director, and much more coming up right now.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time to stand. It starts with a voice.
You're listening to the Special Chronicles Podcast. This is your world podcast on disability or difficulty stories from an insider's perspective. We are giving a voice to people with special needs. And everybody, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome back to the Special Chronicles Podcast. My name is Daniel. I'm Dan. So good to be back behind the mic. I'm so glad that you all join us. I love you found out about Special Chronicles. Welcome to all of our new listeners. I'm sure we have lots of new of you listening because of the Disability Pride Parade this past Saturday, July 18th, 2015, that I was at, and that you guys will hear about in just a moment. But welcome to all of you new listeners. A big shout out to Jesse, one of the students at Roosevelt University in Chicago, who is featured in the selfie featured image for this episode, number 151. Well, everybody, if you would like to find out more information, you follow us on the Twitter and the Facebook at Special C Podcast on Twitter, at Special C Podcast. And you can look for Special Chronicles on Facebook and follow us there as well. And I will hopefully get a new email newsletter out maybe before I leave. But by the next time I speak to you, next time I speak to you guys will have to be pre-recorded. But then the next time I speak to you after that, in a couple of weeks, will be in Los Angeles, which I'm taping this the day before I leave, which is crazy. I know. Well, I know. But we're going to go ahead and get to a live podcast from the 2015 Disability Pride Parade with a recap from the Academic Success Center, the Disability Services Office at Roosevelt, And then we'll take a break and we'll hear from the executive director come about that. So we'll go on and get started with our live podcasting coverage from the 2015 Disability Pride Parade right now. I do not know why that kind of stopped. Perfect transition there. This episode of the Special Chronicles Podcast, episode 152, is brought to you by listeners like you. And coming up on this week's show, podcasting live at the 2015 Disability Pride Parade here in Chicago. And I'm here at Roosevelt University, where I graduated from. And I'm here in the Academic Success Center with
Nancy Litke. So we just came back from walking in the parade.
All right, hold on. And we're also here with
Bianca Milligan, Jenny Bauman,
and
Mel Davis.
Recap.
Back to me, Nancy.
And you're the.
I am the director of the Academic Success Center. And one of the things we do in the Academic Success Center is work with students with disabilities. So this is our first year participating in the Disability Pride Parade. And we all had a great time, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think it was a really fun. We're really excited. And we're going to make this an annual event. We had about 15 people from Roosevelt University, including our alum and host of this show, Daniel. So we were real excited to have that. And it was a great day. We were expecting weather approaching 100, and we had a beautiful day, maybe low 80s at the most. So shout out to that.
And you were going to say, before we went around, you're going to say what we did. There's something I think you were going to say right after you said your name.
Just that we were at the parade today, and this is our first time, so we were really, really excited. I'm going to tell you what our shirt says, because I don't want to, you can't see it, but it says label clothes, not people. So we're pretty excited about that. And in the back, it says a big R for Roosevelt and the Academic Success Center.
Yeah, and I took a picture, and we'll be putting that on specialchronicles.com for the show page for this episode. And also, who else wants to give a recap comments about the parade?
We had a great time. Yeah. Saw some performing, saw lots of people, gave away hundreds of t-shirts, some pretty cool floats. And that's what I want to do next year. I want to float next year. Oh. That's my goal. Not maybe shooting a little bit too high, but we're going to work on that. Thank you.
And what was some of the people that we saw and some of the different groups?
Lots of different groups. There are a lot of theater groups, which surprised me. A lot of special theater groups that work or incorporate people with disabilities. A lot of the access living, they always have a big presence at these events with good reason. I saw some other, Chicago Park District was there.
And Special Olympics Chicago.
Special Olympics Chicago. Chicago Community Trust. They're always at events like this.
I think they said they were the leading sponsor.
Probably. That would make total sense that they were. So it was a great day of community and ability and joyfulness in who people are, hoping to increase the freedoms for people with disabilities, that they're have much more access to jobs, education, just like everybody else does. And even though we have the laws that promote that, now we have to work on changing attitudes.
What do you think is the most the top mission, or the most I guess you could say, the top mission of
of the parade today? If I can talk.
I think today the mission was just to celebrate the lives of everybody who participated and who didn't participate, but to celebrate the lives of people with and without disabilities, but mostly to showcase the ability side and how we're a better world with more diversity.
And what do you think would neat? And what do you think is the most inspirational thing you saw today at the parade?
Boy, that's a tough one, Daniel, because I tear up at everything. So I think seeing the amount of people who were there and everybody with a big smile on their face, I think that was very inspirational, that there wasn't a lot of people standing on the sidelines and cheering as the parade went on, because I think that for this, the group that this mattered most, they were all marching in the parade. And there's something kind of cool about that too.
And what do you, I think I just said it was episode 152. It's actually 151. Get mixed up. But what would you say if we were to pitch an idea to ABC of a disability talk show, on a weekly disability talk show on ABC? What's your thoughts if we were to pitch something like that?
A show or a spot?
More of a show, a talk show, because they already have the disability report. As you know, like Karen Mile used to do it, and now Jose does, but more of a disability talk show. Have all.
That's not my kind of area of expertise. I think it would be fine, but I would think it'd be more of the integration of people with disabilities, not just specific people with disabilities and what they've accomplished, but just the everydayness of it. Yeah. And I think that would be, I think when people know people with disabilities, their views change and they start seeing ability where they used to see disability. So I would pitch something that's different, that's not been done before, instead of just a panel of people with all different disabilities. More of maybe some of the corporations that make it a point to hire people with disabilities. Maybe
that's really big now.
Correct. Yeah. So maybe something like that. But you're the TV guy, not me. I don't know. So I leave that to you.
Okay. Anybody else want to share comments? Everyone's shaking their head. It's just audio.
I think everybody just had a great time. We're glad they came. And Daniel, thank you for coming, because we're looking forward to seeing all the video you took of us.
Yeah. One thing, I don't know, I'm just kind of glad that there's people around me that have like disabilities like me that actually like show up and stuff and aren't like, because some people are kind of like embarrassed sometimes, like with people with learning disabilities. Like sometimes, like when I'm at a job, sometimes I forget to tell them that I have a disability, and sometimes it's kind of nice when there's like people, because I saw some people that are like wanting to hire people at this parade and everything like that, and it's kind of nice that, because I always think like, I'm like, oh my God, I have to like tell this like employer that I have a disability, and they're going to be like really, they're not going to really understand me very much. And so when I see people like wanting to hire people like me that have disabilities, like especially like learning disabilities who are a lot slower at things like me, it makes me feel way better. And I was in a way better mood about that. So I was really happy about that, because more people are aware of like people like me and like other people that have disabilities.
Yeah.
But that's so cool, Bianca. I'm just going to add something. It shows to me that not only do we have to change the attitudes and educate people, we also have to change the people with disabilities to remember that it's all fine. It's just, it's not a bad thing. It's just something that with a few little tweaks here and there, but to get rid of feeling embarrassed about it. And I think that's what today was about. I
just get a little frustrated when people don't understand me, or I can't explain how I think and how my thinking's a little bit slower, or my learning or comprehending is a little bit slower than other people, and people don't get that because they just don't have it, or they just don't know somebody that does, or they're just not used to it and they just don't care sometimes. But I know that there's some people that don't really think like that, but sometimes I feel that way when I can't explain how I feel or how other people like me feel sometimes. And it's really great when people do understand, like today.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And then know that it may take you a little longer, but your outcome is going to be as good or better than most people too.
Yeah.
So don't forget about that part.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel the same way with my LD too.
Right. I think it's pretty common. But today is a good day for everybody to remember that there are lots of people more people than you think that understand.
Yeah. So just for plugs for our listeners, where can listen find out more information about the office here?
We are the Academic Success Center at Roosevelt University. We have a couple different offices here. We have tutoring center. We have a great and fun peer mentor program, and we do disability services. But more than that, I think we're mostly proud of the community that has been created in the office and how all the students, whether you're a mentor, a mentee, a tutor, getting tutored, a person with a disability or an alum, exactly, all kind of hang and can be as a very diverse but close-knit community.
And on the resources page on specialchronicles.com, we have a link to the Academic Success Center.
All right, Daniel, thank you.
Any final thoughts for our listeners? All about being on Special Chronicles?
We love Special Chronicles. It's been a great day. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care, and we'll keep listening. Coming up next, we'll hear from the director of the ADA25Chicago. Thanks. Okay.
And coming up right after the break, we'll hear from the Executive Director of ADA25Chicago, as well as a U.S. Senator from Iowa, who was there at the signing of the ADA. And that's all coming up right after the break, right here on the Special Chronicles Podcast Show, right here on SpecialChronicles.com. We'll be right back. Hey, stick around at the very end. Come Down by Tom Tipping, the song. I'll come right now. Stick around right here on Special Chronicles. I'll be right back.
This episode brought to you by Pace Suburban Bus. Pace helps get you where you need to go. Every day, Pace helps more and more people with disabilities take control of their day. On Pace's fixed routes, you won't have to book your rides a day in advance. And with a fixed route system that has over 200 routes that are entirely accessible to people with disabilities, you'll be able to go where you want, when you want. And best of all, many people with disabilities ride Pace for free or for half price. When you're ready to take control of your day and learn more, visit pacebus.com. That's pacebus.com, or call 847-364-PACE. That's 847-364-PACE. Pace, connecting communities. This episode is also sponsored by Flocknote. Does your parish ministry or organization struggle to keep everyone in the loop? Do you want a simple solution, something that just works? Well, Flocknote.com was made for you. Quiz media list as you like. Then import the contacts that you already have, or simply let your members subscribe to your activities themselves via the web, or by letting them send a text message right from their phone. It's never been easier to click up-to-date contact info and then to send your groups an email or text message at the click of a button. Try a free trial today at Flocknote.com.
And this episode also sponsored by Bluehost. Want to start your own blog or professional website? Then consider using Bluehost. For only $6.95 per month or less, you can have your own professional website or blog. Click on specialchronicles.com/sponsors and click on the Bluehost banner for more information.
Tim Shriver Jr., and I'm a co-founder of Spread the Word and the Word. I'm just excited to be on this pioneering show, this pioneering project, Special Chronicles. Absolutely, Chicago is once again becoming the location of a new revolution in voice and in representation, and yeah, it's been a special place for a long time. I mean, it's been 40 some years since Special Olympics launched there in Chicago at Soldier Field, and almost 50 years later, another huge project, Special Chronicles, launching in that same town. It holds a lot of special power there in Chicago. I also just want to thank you, Dan, for inviting me on and for creating Special Chronicles. It's such an incredible innovation, and it's an incredible project you've taken on that you have worked so hard on for 5 years, taken from a small podcast to a new media company and a nonprofit. The work you put in shows so strongly, and the fact that you create this show not just to give voice for yourself, but to give voice to so many Special Olympics athletes and so many people across our community. It's such a powerful idea, such a powerful action, such a powerful creation. So thank you for all the work you do. And I just can't wait to see the next episode and see what comes next. Thank you, and I hope you guys all have a great day.
This is Brianna Alyssa, and you're listening to Special Chronicles. Every free chance I have, I tune into Special Chronicles podcasts at specialchronicles.com.
And this is Daniel, founder of Special Chronicles, just jumping in here to let you know that the sponsors that you just heard on this episode were old sponsors when the episode originally aired in July of 2015. So I just wanted to let you know that that was the sponsors were old sponsors from the original recording, the original airing of this episode. But I just want to pipe in right here briefly to let you know that support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. Please join our supporters with a monthly or one-time donation so we can operate our studio and continue our mission of giving respect and voice to people with disabilities. Visit specialchronicles.com/give to donate today. And we also invite you to access Special Chronicles Plus, our behind-the-scenes podcast bonus content, and to help support the podcast. Visit specialchronicles.com/plus. That's specialchronicles.com/plus to donate today and support the podcast. And also, support for Special Chronicles comes from the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program, the country's first energy and solar efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. And support for Special Chronicles comes from United Airlines Bridge Disability Business Resource Group, connecting people of all abilities. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/United. That's specialchronicles.com/United. And now back to our previously broadcasted episode live from the Disability Pride Parade in Chicago.
You're listening to the Special Chronicles Podcast, and here is your host.
This is Daniel, founder of Special Chronicles podcasting live on specialchronicles.com. We're going to go back and do the 2015 Disability in the Pride Parade and the ADA25 Chicago rally that was on July 18th, 2015. And we're going to be speaking right now with the Executive Director of ADA25 Chicago, Emily, who is partially deaf, as you will hear in this brief interview. And then we'll go right into the from the U.S. Senator. But here's the Director of ADA25 Chicago. Join us today on the Special Chronicles podcast. We're here at the 2015 Disability Pride Parade here in Daly Plaza in Chicago, and I'm here with the Executive Director of the ADA25 Chicago. So first, introduce yourself to our listeners.
Sorry.
Introduce yourself to our listeners.
Okay. My name is Emily Harris, and I'm Executive Director of ADA25 Chicago.
So first, tell us briefly how did the Disability Pride Parade get started?
Well, the Disability Pride Parade has been around for about 12 years. I think this is the 12th annual. Our initiative, ADA25 Chicago, is just this year to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And my understanding is that the Pride Parade is organized by volunteers who've been doing this for 12 years. This is one of the bigger years because of the 25th anniversary. We've been really pleased to be able to support them and provide more visibility. And this year, I think there were as many as 60 organizations that were involved.
Can you tell us a little bit about the ADA25Chicago? Because
Yes.
as you said, and as I know, this year is the 25th anniversary of the ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act. So tell us a little bit about that.
So the idea is to look at this anniversary as both an opportunity to raise awareness so that people will know that disability is a natural part of the human experience and that we all need to celebrate the civil rights that came with the Americans with Disabilities Act 25 years ago and the progress that's been made. But also it's an opportunity to say what's ahead and how do we take action for the future. As Senator Harkin just said, we're really have made huge progress in some ways, but in the area of employment, the area of education, there's still so much to do. And so the idea of ADA25Chicago is how do we bring people together from all over the Chicago region, not only today and not only on July 26th, which is the actual anniversary, but all year to really raise awareness and to inspire action to make our region more inclusive.
And one thing that I say as an advocate or a self-advocate is because I was diagnosed with learning disabilities and severe language disorder, is that the disabilities is a part of who we are. It doesn't define us. And I always advocate about people with language, but that the disability is a part of who we are. What's some of your thoughts about that?
Well, you know, I never thought of myself as a person with a disability, and about 18 years ago exactly, I had a bad sinus infection and lost hearing in my left ear. And I didn't think of myself as a person with a disability until the RTA said that I could get discounted fares. But it's really been this year, learning more about the ADA and working on this initiative, that I recognize how important it is that, just as you say, disability is part of all of us. And if it's not us personally, it could be tomorrow. The next person who loses hearing from a sinus infection, the next person who's in an accident, and the next person whose neighbor or friend or child or teacher or doctor or lawyer has a disability. It's really about all of us. And that's why we've created as our logo and tagline, Greater Together, because we think that really what this is all about is when we make things accessible for one person with a disability, we make our world better for all of us.
Yeah, neat. So once again, for our listeners, the quote that I always say is that the disability is a part of who we are. And I don't know if you've seen this show on ABC Family called Switched at Both. It stars, it has both actors and characters who are deaf. And they had one episode, I forgot what season, but they had one episode that was entirely in American Sign Language. So there was one episode. So what's some of your thoughts? Some of your brief thoughts about that?
I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry.
What's some of your brief thoughts about
how people with disabilities are portrayed in the media? We are working with Access Living Community Media Workshop and a group funded by the McCormick Foundation to look at whether there are ways to educate the media more about how people with disabilities can be portrayed just as people, and so that diversity is celebrated, but that people with disabilities aren't portrayed either as people to be pitied or kind of the opposite, people who are heroes. It's just all of us. And we think that people should cover the issues around disability, make sure that all of the policy issues, all of the need for making sure that we don't lose supports and things like that are covered, But when it comes to covering people with disability, it's a matter of diversity, and it's a matter of treating everybody the same.
I have an idea. I just the other day of seeing if we can have a TV show on ABC that focuses on all disability issues. So, what's some of your brief thoughts about that? Because like they have the disability report, but what do you think of a weekly talk show devoted? Because like those stories all that previously came on my own, but now Jose does that's about 2.5 minutes. But what do you think of a?
I think that would be terrific. If there's anything I've seen this year is how rich of a community the disability community is here in Chicago, how many really, really thoughtful and interesting people there are. So it would be a great show if we could get them to do that.
I was just talking with the, I now know Jose. I was just talking with the cameraman who's going to be passing on to his producer and to Jose. So let's see. I'll keep you guys updated.
Great.
About that. Before we get back to the festival and parade, where can all listeners find out more information about the disability parade as well as, and probably more importantly, about the ADA25Chicago.
We have more than 160 program partners that are involved with ADA25Chicago. The Disability Pride Parade is one, and that, of course, is a coalition of groups itself. But those partners are putting on a huge number of events all year, everything ranging from a touch tour by the Frank Lloyd Wright Trust so that people who are blind or low vision can experience the architecture of Frank Lloyd Wright, to caption performances at a lot of theaters, to tomorrow there's going to be a big festival at Brookfield Zoo, having some more inclusive programming than they've had in the past in celebration of the 25th anniversary. So our website is ADA25Chicago.org. We have a calendar on there, and we really encourage everybody to keep track of what's coming. In addition to some of these fun things, we're also focusing on some more substantive issues like employment. How do we close the achievement gap at the Chicago Public Schools in literacy? It's one of the mayor's big initiatives. So we'll also include information about some of those big policy and other challenges that we're trying to tackle this year as well.
And are you guys also on Twitter and Facebook and social media?
We are #ADA25Chicago.
So once again, for all listeners, that's ADA25Chicago.com and the hashtag ADA25Chicago.
Yep.
Any final thoughts about our world time here today?
I just think it's fantastic to see so many people come out, to be so proud, and to have such diversity of people with disabilities, people without disabilities, all here to celebrate. And it's also really exciting to see the National Road to Freedom bus here, Senator Harkin here, so making the tie to not only this being about Chicago, but really being at the heart of the nation. And the national celebration is extending here as well.
I'm also an athlete in Special Olympics, and one of the big messages that we have is to play unified. And so it seems like that's also like a connection here today. Do you know, is it possible to for us to go on the bus?
No, I think they only do things outside the bus.
Outside, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think,
so the Justin Dart puppet lives in the bus. And then Tom Olin, the photographer, is here. He actually, I don't know if you've seen his exhibit of photos that's up at the Chicago History Museum, but he's going up there later to talk to ABC about it. But anyway, he can tell you all about the bus, but I don't think they allow people on it.
Okay, neat. So thank you again for taking the time to come on Special Chronicles.
It was really great to meet you, and I look forward to your podcast.
Thank you. And I hope you guys all enjoyed hearing from Emily, the Executive Director of the ADA25Chicago. And that note, I've got to play the news bumper, but we're going to go ahead and get to the last bit of news for today's program.
Welcome to the Pie News on channel 3.14.
And this year is the 25th anniversary of the ADA, as we are celebrating with the ADA25Chicago and the live disability project right now. And speaking of that, we were at the rally, and I got some video clips and a whole bunch, but I'm not going to play all of them. Actually, I may a little bit of all Roosevelt University Academic Success Center when we were marching. Disability Services Office at Roosevelt. If I can find a clip, let me see if I can find a show clip, and then we'll get to this Senator Harkin from Iowa, who was there when the signing of the ADA. Just a moment, but if I can pull up this video clip, I hear a little. I see a little beach ball. Let's see if we can play. Any minute now, it will play. And I did bypass the bottom of the outbreak, but I'd just like to take a moment.
Special Chronicles on SpecialChronicles.com.
Okay, so just quick note, you guys, let you know this episode is brought to you by listeners like you, and also by Paceball and Bus. Go to pacebus.com, pacebus.com, and we're being paid for the generous sponsorship of Special Chronicles. And if you're a person with a disability, we highly recommend that you use Pace Bus. Go on to specialchronicles.com/pacebus to find more information about that special series. And now here's a little live report as we were marching in the Disability Pride Parade.
Special Chronicles on SpecialChronicles.com. We have the Disability Pride Parade in Chicago. What?
There's a new song for the World Games called Reach Up.
Whatever. I got it on here. Wait. CTV. Say
okay, so that's some video that you guys can't wait to see, what you guys can hear. I'm just trying to find if I can talk flying. That's a cool word. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of fast forward in this little video. See if we can actually get them singing the Roosevelt University fight song as we were marching in the parade here. And there you have it. That was a little bit, and you can hear a little bit of the action during this year's 2015 Disability Pride Parade. And I actually have to kind of go ahead and just out there to pack for Los Angeles for Special Olympics World Games. It's a little kind of real science fiction thing when it comes to podcasting here. But I'm going to go ahead and hear a little bit of the U.S. Senator, and then we'll go ahead and end after that. But here's a little bit of U.S. Senator Harkin from Iowa. Who once again was there during the signing of the ADA, the American with Disabilities Act.
I get a stand here. I don't need a podium. Why do I need a podium when I'm talking to all my friends and my family who are here? First of all, let me thank Sylvia Jones and Candace Coleman for being the MCs. Aaron Tanley, the head of the Mayor's Office on People with Disabilities, has been in the trenches fighting for the rights of people with disabilities for a long time. Aaron, thank you very much. Thank you, Aaron. He couldn't be here. He had to go to another event, but the Cook County Commissioner, Chuy Garcia, marched in the parade with us. Let's
signing church to the stage, please.
Hello. Let's thank Terry Mazzani and the Chicago Community Trust for sponsoring this great event today. Terry, where are you? Right back there. Raise your hand, Terry. One of the great things that happened after ADA is we had some wonderful architects that began to design buildings and facilities with universal design so everyone could access it. We have one of those great architects in our midst today, Jack Kaplan. Jack, raise your hand over here, Jack. 35 years ago, when we started planning and plotting to get the Americans with Disabilities Act through, there came into our midst one of the most formidable fighters for justice I've ever met in my lifetime. I've often said that if she were the Titanic, the iceberg would have sunk. Marka Bristow from Access Limited. Oh, right in front of me, Marka. And you know, the whole history of the disability rights movement needed to be portrayed for Americans to see and for people from around the world to see what we were doing. And so a photographer by the name of Tom Olin began to capture on film and pictures what was happening in America with the disability rights community. And Tom Olin is here, but I don't know where. Back right here he is. Tom Olin, our photographer, right back here, folks. You can see his exhibit at the Chicago Museum of Art. It's down there. In fact, I'm going down this afternoon to look at it. And Tom, I think it's going to be on display all the rest of this year, if I'm not mistaken. The Chicago History Museum. I'm sorry. I said museum of the Chicago History Museum. And lastly, let me thank all the organizers of Disability Pride Parade today. Thank all of the organizers. All of the volunteers are in pink shirts. I wore a pink shirt too. I'm a volunteer now. But I put on a t-shirt over it. This is a great day, Chicago. 25 years ago, we said no to intolerance. We said no to discrimination. We said no to prejudice. We said no to fear. And we passed the Americans with Disabilities Act. Many of us were there that day on the White House lawn. July the 26th, 1990. Beautiful day. It was the largest gathering of people in the history of the country for a signing of the bill at the White House. And I will never forget seeing so many people from around the country representing every possible disability, physical disability, intellectual disabilities, mental illness, all there to celebrate this victory over prejudice. And I will never forget the words of President George Herbert Walker Bush when he signed it. It's what he said. He said, when I sign this, let the shameful walls of exclusion come tumbling down. So we've come a long way. We've come a long way. I am so proud to have been the chief sponsor of that bill. A lot of people say I'm the father, but you know what? The one person who probably did more to get people's attention on this around the country, he visited every state in the nation, including Alaska and Hawaii. He garnered support, he energized people, and he moved us to get the legislation done. And that's the guy I'm here with today. That's right over here. Where is he? Oh. Yeah. Who is he? Who? Say it again. Everyone ought to know that name. Everyone in America, because without him, without Justin, we never would have had this bill passed. So thank you, Justin Dart, for being with us again today. And thank you all for remembering who he is. So we made great progress. We made progress. You can see it around. You can see the curb cuts, the widened doorways, the accessible buses, trains, subways. You see all the mobility. You see video relay systems. Heck, you even see traffic lights that talk to you now. We made things more accessible. Families can now go to the Chicago Cubs game together. They don't have to separate themselves out. You can go to restaurants. You can travel as a family or with a loved one, no matter what disability you may have. So we've done pretty good on that. Now we got a couple of ways to go on things. You know, if you go to London, England, every single taxi in London is fully accessible. But not in America. Here, we're the ones that passed the Americans with Disabilities Act. We're the ones that led the world. Why isn't every taxi fully accessible in New York and Chicago and Washington, D.C. and San Francisco and Los Angeles? Now we have a company that's producing a car called MV1. They're doing a great job. I know you have 100 of some of them in Chicago. You have more than any other city in America. You ought to be proud of that. But we cannot rest until every taxi in every city in the United States is fully accessible for every person in this country. So you know there were 4 goals. 4 goals. Full participation, equal opportunity, independent living, economic self-sufficiency. Now, on the first 2, full participation and equal opportunity, we've done pretty good. We've done pretty good. As I said, we've broken down a lot of barriers. Heck, I even got on a plane yesterday and a person came on with their companion dog. They never used to let that happen.
Oh boy. No, okay, sorry. That video kind of ended abruptly. I'm sorry. I was so engrossed into what we're talking about, and I forgot that I stopped. I think because the camera had only allowed for like 10-minute video clips at a time, and I forgot to bring the other camera. So sorry for that, you guys. But if I get a chance, I'll try to post the pictures. I don't know when. It might have to be after I get back from the trip. But anyways, on that note, because I'm tipping the episode that you guys will hear way after this episode, I'll just let you guys go on specialchronicles.com for episode 151 and for our show notes for this week's episode. And that also note, if you want to share your feedback, I'd love to hear from you guys. By the way, go to all-show.org to spread the word in the world. But anyways, you want to share your feedback, go on to specialchronicles.com/voicemail, specialchronicles.com, or click on voicemail, and you can just call in your feedback anytime, day or night. You can also email us feedback at specialchronicles.com. That's feedback at specialchronicles.com. Or like us on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Special Chronicles Podcast. Just do a search for Special Chronicles on Facebook and like us. And welcome to all of our new Lycos fans on there, as well as on Twitter at Special C Podcast on Twitter, at Special C Podcast on Twitter. And go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio, leave us a review. We haven't received any reviews lately. It helps a lot more people out there know about the show, so I greatly appreciate it. Coming on up next week, we will be sitting down with the Special Olympics World Games 2015, Los Angeles 2015. Tennis official John Coleman. And by the way, it's that next week's episode, that interview is part of the coverage in the Bugle newspaper. Also, that'll be coming up next week. Plus, we got lots more content to come. So stay tuned and more news. Stay tuned while you're on specialchronicles.com. We're going to end the show, end this week's episode, with a song called Common Ground by Tom Chapin, and it's used with permission of Tom. So on that note, I'll talk to you guys next week. See you guys in Los Angeles for our World Games. And so then as we take care and God bless. See you.
Come in, the door is open. You are welcome here. Come in, the door is open. Leave out all doubt and fear. We'll plant a seed together and together watch it grow. And learn once more what we already know. Lift up your voice, rejoice in what we've found. Let every heart take refuge in the sound. Feel the walls around us tremble, we will surely bring them down. Find ourselves on common ground. Find ourselves on common ground. This is how we celebrate our song and dance and art. This is how we touch the future, how we touch your heart. Tell your story to a child and they'll take it as their own. This is how we learn we're not alone. Lift up your voice, rejoice in what we found. Let every heart take refuge in the sound. Feel the walls around us tremble. We will surely bring them down. Find ourselves on common ground. Find ourselves on common ground. In our time together, I begin to understand there are bridges we can only cross together, hand in hand. Soon we'll head on homeward, go our separate ways, but these echoes will be dancing down our days. Lift up your voice, rejoice in what we found. Let every heart take refuge in the sound. Feel the walls around us tremble. We will surely bring them down. And find ourselves on common ground. Find ourselves on common ground.
And Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
And that's a wrap. A little bit shorter episode today, but we'll make up for it next week. So stay tuned.
And
Oh, boy.
that about ends our special rebroadcasted episode live from the Disability Pride Parade, originally recorded in July 2015. I hope if anybody from United Airlines Bridge Disability Business Resource Group is listening, I hope next year to be able to, maybe this year, but I hope next year maybe we can maybe do a rebooted live podcast with new content from there. We'll have to see. A few notes at the end before we wrap up. You can shop our merchandise store on specialchronicles.com and know that 60% of the profits, 60% of the profits will go back to Special Chronicles. You can shop our Disabled Voices Matter line of merch. We have t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, specialchronicles.com/shop. And remember to keep following the Special Chronicles podcast and tap that follow button for new episodes will drop every week right here on the Special Chronicles podcast, so you don't miss our original content that will help you make impactful and inclusive connections in your life through our podcast. And remember to visit our website, specialchronicles.com, for we can see our archives of over 750 episodes, and follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe to our newsletter. You can find all those links on specialchronicles.com. And until next week, I'll catch you all on the next episode right here on specialchronicles.com. So until then, remember, disabled voices matter and choose to include. I'll see you all next week right here on specialchronicles.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smrokowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks, as always, to our business manager, Adam Smrokowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smrokowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.